Well, hi everybody. G'day. I'm in the UK at the moment. I'm in my first week of starting a master's degree in regenerative economics. So I'll be running my mentoring business early in the mornings on weekdays, and the Future of Hospitality initiative. I'll still be driving, and I'm really excited by the fact that we've got about 5,000 people engaged, hospitality business leaders engaged in future of hospitality in one way or another, whether that's getting involved in the monthly insights briefings, or it's getting involved in the subscribing to the newsletter, or coming along to some of these lives, or watching the recordings for the lives, or coming to the master classes. So anyway, my purpose in setting up future of hospitality was to really share enough knowledge to help more people survive and thrive in what were going to be difficult times coming. And certainly when I started the planning for Future of Hospitality back in April, and we did the first monthly briefing in May, at the end of May, I'd say that the biggest challenge, probably, you might agree, you might not agree, the biggest challenge was that we were facing was systemic staff shortages. But it was becoming pretty clear to me, talking to some of you earlier in the year, that there were other issues coming, and haven't they come? Haven't they arrived? So now we're obviously dealing with systemic price rises. We're dealing with systemic lack of customers in many venues, or not necessarily lack of customers yet, but they're starting to slow down their spend a little bit in many venues, not all, but many. And they're also so the frequency of visits reduced. Sorry, I've got distractions going on around me, and I'm going to do a 360 and show you this is the courtyard at the place that I'm studying. It goes back just a few centuries, but it's pretty cool. And I'm going to show you much more of this place over the next few weeks, months, and the year that I'm here. If we keep doing these lives, I'll keep showing you different parts of this estate that the college is on. It's the most beautiful place. There's 26 acres of amazing formal gardens, and the River Dart is just around the corner. So we'll do lots of. I'll try and make these lives a bit more. I'll make them more interesting for you by giving you scenery to match some of the not so interesting stuff that we'll be talking about. Anyway, for those of you who are, whether you're watching live now or you're watching the recording later, it would be really cool if you could make a comment and just say where you're from. I'm streaming these mainly through LinkedIn, but also through Facebook, Future of Hospitality page. And also I've set up a YouTube channel, really just to capture these. I haven't really worked out how to really work the YouTube channel yet, but it started to record the history of these lives, and I'll go back and more clearly retitle them and put keywords in and stuff like that for those of you who prefer YouTube to LinkedIn. Although I think LinkedIn's probably going to remain the main focus. So this is the Dartington Great Hall behind me, just to give you a little bit of an insight into stuff. Is it going to pick up? Um, okay, so I want to talk very quickly now. I'll do this. I'll do this more a couple of times. What are we on Wednesday? Are we on Wednesday? Or are we on Tuesday? I'm really not sure. Wednesday, I think it is. If that's right, then we've got Thursday and Friday lives to do. And I will talk more about this real estate stuff in the next couple of days. But the thing that I wanted to do today was really just introduce the subject of product. Product being a slightly higher level strategic concept. So product isn't the beer or food that you're selling. Product is whether you're a cafe or a restaurant or a pub or an event venue or a hybrid of, covering a few of these different things. So what I want to do is just talk about the fact that, let's just say, for example, to give a starting scenario, that you're a cafe. Now, one of the ways that you can grow your business is obviously organically, as by making your cafe a busier cafe than it is now, or certainly a more profitable. Busier doesn't always mean more profitable, but what we're looking at is being more profitable. We're looking at improving the cash flow position, and we're looking at improving the profitability. So what I want to talk about is the way that we might do that. So if you're a cafe, one of the easiest ways to do it is to look at, to improve profitability is to become busier as a cafe. Now, once you've got to a point where really you're working with the law of diminishing returns, and you're in a situation where you're not actually making any more profit, then you're sort of busy all the time. Or alternatively, you're absolutely dead because you're in a city that's been devastated by COVID restrictions, and people are working from home rather than coming into the office. So there's a few different scenarios, but you could be either really busy and you can't actually improve your profitability anymore, because you're pretty much maxing out on your trading sessions, or something's happened and you're looking at maybe operating your premises in a different way. And this is the important thing that I want you to consider if this is relevant to you. You're leasing or you're owning. The vast majority of people are leasing premises. And we sort of imagine that the only thing we can do with them is what we've been doing with them for however long we've been leasing them, or however long they've been leased. We might be new business owners or new managers into premises that have been there a while. So let's say you're this cafe. We'll keep going back to this cafe example. So you're a cafe and let's say you're doing pretty well, and you're looking to, you want to further improve your profitability, or you're struggling because of COVID and you need to look at different revenue streams that you could possibly bring in. So one of the easiest ways for a cafe to do that is to do functions. So you might not do functions at the moment, but functions, events, and catering are terrific add-ons as products to your mix. And you turn yourself from a cafe to a venue that offers catering to potentially local businesses. A lot of you will be doing catering already, but private functions in the evenings, a lot of cafes don't do that. But you don't. But it's something it's not a terribly difficult jump to make, to go from being an existing cafe venue to being a cafe venue that offers functions in the evening. Now, there's some issues around licensing that you may need to look at. And in the short term, in most jurisdictions, not all, but most, you're able to get limited licenses or one-off licenses. The terminology will depend on the country that you're in and the nature of the licensing laws. But in many of the countries that I'm talking to generally, most of the countries that I'm talking to generally, you can get a license for a specific event. And And you can have a milestone birthday party, or you can have a corporate event, or you can have a big family gathering, or um, you can have a product launch, or you can have a number of different things. And it'll partly depend on the facilities you've got. It will partly depend on the market that you're normally dealing with and the marketplace that you're operating within locally. Um, and it will depend on how unique you can be in what you do. Now, if you're a restaurant and you've got similar challenges, either you can't really get any busier than you already are, or you've got some challenges as a result of COVID from the from the restrictions, and maybe the way your customers' behavior has changed since the restrictions were brought in, then maybe you might have the opportunity to do, if you're not already doing functions, that you introduce functions. If you're doing functions, what you may consider introducing are weekend brunches. And you might not get into the market of doing an early breakfast, but what you could do is a 9 a.m. or a 10 a.m. start for a brunch. You possibly already do lunches, but to capture that late morning, something with eggs type of meal and coffee um, is quite is quite is quite a good opportunity for many places. These are all general suggestions, and without speaking to you individually, this is not specific advice for your place, but it's things for you to consider. And taking the principles that I'm talking about, you can actually apply these principles in your own business. And you could be an events venue that can do other things. You could be a restaurant or a pub that can do other things. And this is just today's real estate review. I've got some other things I want to suggest to you tomorrow and Friday, and they're quite different. But we are going into difficult times, and my big driver for doing embarrassing videos on here, and really, putting myself up for being knocked down, is that I just want as many people to survive. I want the majority of businesses to be able to survive, and I fear that they won't. And I want as many businesses to be able to turn some of these challenges into opportunities to thrive. And that's where strategy, being strategic, adapting your business to the changing marketplace, and something that I describe as dancing with the external environment. That's where these things come into be, and it's what I've probably had my greatest successes, both in the corporate world, running multi-site groups, and in the entrepreneurial world, doing those things as well. That's probably where I've enjoyed my greatest successes in terms of making some of those, changing the products, changing the strategic level product, tapping into different markets, because our premises are pretty fixed. In most cases, we're not operating food vans that we can move to a market. We're operating premises that we can trade from. So that's it, really. I don't want to go into too much more, because I'll just end up talking into different subjects and speaking to different topics. So really, this was, and what I'd really appreciate is if you're watching this and you've got any feedback, any ideas, where you might have done some of these things, the reasons why you don't think you can do some of these things, the reasons why you can't do some of these things. Just give me feedback, because what it does is starts a conversation, and it's not just a conversation for your benefit. There are other people watching this and reading it, and people sitting very, very quietly who message me privately in direct messages to let me know how useful these sessions are for them. You know, we're sort of, I'm building a tribe. I'm building a a group of hospitality business owners that I want to share as much of my 4 decades. I feel so old when I say that, but my 4 decades of experience, lots of successes and some pretty smack in the face, a single big smack in the face period as well, when I ended up being burnt out by things that were going on in my external environment. And I really, really, really hope that I can help a few of you avoid ever getting into a burnout situation, because it's no fun at all. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to go back to my study, because I'm a student. I'm a 58-year-old student doing regenerative economics, and it's bloody wonderful, I can tell you. The place I'm at, this space that I'm learning in, and the subject I'm covering over the next 12 months is going to be a real journey for me, and I'm looking forward to learning much more about how screwed up our economic system is at the moment, and how it can be changed. That's really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for how we can collectively make a difference and run things differently, and focus much more on smaller and medium-sized businesses that our politicians seem to be happy to see disappear at the moment, in favor of big corporate groups that huge corporates who coincidentally are the people contributing to political parties' donation campaigns. There you go. No coincidences there, right? So that's it for today. I'll give you one last spin around. The gimbal's working okay. I haven't really used this before, but there you go. And I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll talk about some more real estate, reviewing how you can get better profitability from the real estate that you're paying rent on, or indeed that you may own as well. So that's it. Love you and leave you. Thanks, guys. Please say something in the comments just to convince me that I'm not talking to myself. I know that's not the case, because more of you send me direct messages than put comments in. But let's see what we can do. All right, see you soon. See you tomorrow, in fact. Bye.